Good morning, everybody. Out here walking with Cedar. It's race day. It is the Saturday before Chattanooga 70.3, and I would call this like the last simulation day. And what's going to happen today is that we're going to go and we're going to ride, we're going to warm up, and then we're going to ride one loop of the Ironman Wisconsin bike course, and that's about 40 miles. And I've ridden this loop many times. I've ridden it very hard. So today is going to be like a little bit of a time trial effort, not quite 70.3 effort or power, but pretty close. And just to kind of like dial in nutrition, dial in some pacing, dial in how I'm going to handle the hills, because Chattanooga's rolling, but it's not that hard. Cedar's stopping. But she might poop. She pooped. I'll pick it up later. No, I'm just kidding. I picked it up. I'm not one of those dog owners that... Okay, so it is a brick day today, and I'm excited. I'm also really nervous. The reason is that I've done the Ironman loop many times, and this is the first Ironman loop since the wind tunnel visit last fall. So can you imagine if I go out, ride this thing pretty hard, and not go any faster? That'll be something. So I'm feeling a little bit of nerves that that investment might not pay off, but I do feel as if that's just like internal stress talking. But man, oh man, I hope I do go faster today on that loop. But fitness is good, legs feel fresh. This has been like a little bit of an easier week, just because like 2 weeks before the race, I do like to take an easier week, because a lot of times like on a recovery week, the legs just feel bad. So I like to get the easier week done 2 weeks before, and then this weekend kind of ramp back up into it, and then the week of the race kind of treat it like a normal training week. So, but that's it. I'm gonna head over in about an hour, but I'm excited. I'm nervous. It's gonna be a big one. But to refrain, so we're basically doing 40 miles of the main set, pretty solid, and then off the bike, 4x1 mile at like race pace or a little bit faster than race pace in the carbon shoes to get a good feel for it. So yeah, feeling good, excited.
Be her. I wonder if it's at her Ironman pace.
So we got a big crew out here today. You ever heard that joke that every Olympic sport should have an average individual?
Is that
We're on Old Sauk Pass, Ironman Wisconsin course. The first of 3 hills. Robin, how are we feeling?
excellent?
Excellent. 2 more big hills to go. All right, we're on timber. Steep. Short. We dropped Eric. I don't know if you can see him, but it's Eric. He dropped us. We're on Old Sauk Pass. I'm sorry, we're on Midtown. Last climb of the loop. Feeling good, even though we're riding pretty hard. How hard are we riding?
Pretty hard. My legs are pretty shot now.
Robin said not that hard. Almost done. Then a little run off the bike. survived the bike ride. Eric's warming up at 6-minute pace, which is my goal pace. This is what it's like training in the gym. Six 12, mile 1. Mile 2, 6:15, big headwind. Turning around, kind of a good tailwind.
Watch out, Morgan Pearson.
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, though.
Tailwind, 6:11. One more to go.
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, though. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want.
Mile 4, 6:14. Great workout.
Did you see the possum?
No.
There's a possum in the road.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah. So, Chattanooga 70.3 did not end very well. I did not finish, which is pretty embarrassing, considering the fact that I said that I thought I could podium, and I did not think that a DNF was in the cards. So, but here I am telling you that I did not finish. I DNF'd, and unfortunately, which is even more insane, I'm not able to do Lake Placid, which is pretty devastating, but I'm okay with it. It happens. It's an injury. I'm not gonna get too worked up over that. I've been injured before, but Placid is the first big race where I really have had to withdraw from. And that's tough. I mean, the whole winter I put in some huge training, some really great training, and I was going into 2024 with really big goals, and this is what I'm getting out of it. I'm getting a DNF at Chattanooga, and I'm getting a DNS at Lake Placid, which is pretty challenging because it immediately makes you think of, well, what's next? I mean, everything was built upon these two races, and I'm not able to do that. And just to give a quick update. So in the moment, you know, going down to Chattanooga from Madison, we drove down Friday, my SI joint, I felt it, a lot of it, I felt it like in the middle where most people feel SI joint pain. And so I was rolling it and I was like, yeah, this isn't good, this doesn't feel good. And then on Saturday, walking around, I could barely like bend down or bend forward without really sharp pain kind of moving through that area. And I was hopeful. I was taking ibuprofen, and then the morning of, I felt okay. I swam and it felt okay, but then on the bike, about 30 to 40 miles into the bike ride, it just got really unbearable. Like I felt it more on my left, like glute med, if that's helpful to kind of get an idea of where I felt that. And the more I rode, it just felt like it was really pulling, and there was a very deep burning sensation. And then when I would go back into the aero bars, that more stretching just put a lot of pain in that area. And it got to the point where I couldn't get aero. The pain was really great, and I just rode it in. And I had about 12 athletes racing, and I thought I could either just stop on the bike, but if I stopped, I had no idea how long it would take me to get a car there. I'm not gonna ask for a car. So I would just sit there until like an Ironman vehicle could bring me back. So I thought the best I could do is just ride in. So I rode in, and I just handed my chip off and went onto the run course and supported the athletes I had out there, which most of them did really, really great. So that was awesome to see the day they were having and they trained for. And so right now, since the race, I've really been resting and trying to refocus on what the rest of the year is going to look like. I'm kind of leaning toward Michigan 70.3 with how my rehab is going. But since then, I've been doing a lot of chiro work. Andy Shep, I see Andy a lot for chiropractic work. So he's been doing a lot of work on my body to make sure I'm really good. I see Dave over at Pro Therapy. I've had a needling package, like a dry needling package with Dave. And I get needled by Dave once a week, which has been really, really effective with like keeping my body very loose. But I see Jenny over at Core Active Therapy. Jenny's been my physical therapist for a long time. And the level of work that Jenny and I do through my SI joint, through like looking at where a lot of my limitation is with my body, we find a lot of things that I get to work on. And you know, she obviously gives me a home program to work on, and she does a lot of needling as well. So she doesn't needle my SI joint, she needles more like hip flexor. And when I was talking to Jenny, I mean, the big question is like, where did this injury come from? And it didn't happen the week of the race. And 2 weeks ago when I was riding, I started to feel pain in my low back. And I thought, yeah, like that's where the pain came from. But when we were talking about it more, it happened about 2 months before that, where I was doing a run workout as a speed workout, where I was doing a lot of work around 5K pace and 3K pace. And I was in the middle of an interval, and I was running down this slight downhill, and all of a sudden I just felt like this snap. And I remember it because it paused me in my step, and I stopped and I said, that felt really bad. And like within 10 seconds, a burning sensation just like lit off, like in that same like left like glute med SI area. And I remember calling Andy. I said, Andy, can you just like do some quick work on me? And he got me and said, yeah, like your SI joint and your hips are like really locked up. And ever since that time, like when I was running, I would like running fast, like running easy and running like tempo and a little bit of threshold wouldn't bother. But when I wanted to run fast, my low back and like my spine would get this like really tight sensation, like it was like compressing into my spine. And it would come and go, and I kind of stopped thinking about it, and I think that's what triggered it. So like I drove down, and like that triggered the pain quite a bit. So, but the interesting thing, and I'll talk about this in another video, but when I was doing work with Jenny yesterday, we were really identifying mobility within my body. And I laid back on the table, and we were doing like a lot of hip mobility work, where I would lay back and I would tuck like say my right knee to my chest, and she wanted to see like the mobility within my hip. And if I laid back with my right leg, and I laid back, my left leg, instead of staying flat, would actually come up with it. And she says, well, Steve, you know, at that time you were working on, you know, increasing your speed, but you have no mobility in your hips. And so when you want to get extension out the back of your stride, you can't get extension because your hips are so tight. And so where does the extension come from? Comes from my spine. So that essentially is the catalyst of what created that. So doing a lot of work with Jenny to get my hips more mobile. She's awesome. So yeah, so I'm feeling optimistic. I mean, my pain levels are almost gone. I do feel it every once in a while, but you know, I'm not running fast, and now understanding that, I'll probably limit how much speed work I do. But swimming's back, running's back, biking's back, but I'm just trying to figure out what racing will make sense moving forward. But I'm sorry that this video is getting long. I feel like I've been talking forever, but thanks for hanging in there. Injuries suck. Everybody gets them. Even the coach gets an injury, even though it feels a heck of a lot more embarrassing when a coach gets an injury, because coaches are supposed to be invincible. We're not. But yeah, moving forward, and I'm gonna share more rehab stuff coming up, and also the training moving into hopefully Michigan Half Ironman in the end of September. But all's good. Onwards and upwards.